Hey guys, Loco here. We have the return of Loco Lets Loose. This time we'll put a little bit more focus on competitive and educational side of things. I've been a coach for a very long time, about 3 years. You might like me, more likely than not, you probably don't like me, but I've won LCS twice and Challenger twice. You can't deny the results I've had. With that said, today I want to talk about the topic that the League of Legends community loves to blame coaches over: draft and team comps. Before we can even get into understanding drafting, we first have to establish what makes or doesn't make a good team comp. We'll go into drafting next video. For today, I want to share with you my secret 5 rules for team comp and what goes wrong when these rules are broken. Let's start with rule number 1, winning lanes.
I'm up to snuff and got me an ace machine.
Very simple rule, make sure some of your lanes can win. In professional matches, most matchups are pretty well figured out, and teams have a good idea on which lanes will push and which lanes will get shoved in. It's very important that you have 1 to 2 winning lanes early. When this rule gets broken, a lot of bad things can start happening. Your jungler gets invaded, support roams towards mid, top lane can set up an easy TP play on bot lane, and most importantly, you lose control of neutral objectives such as Dragon and Rift and all vision. Infamously, when Fnatic got perfect game by Longzhu at 2017 Worlds, they had both losing side lanes on top of a mid lane that gets shoved in. Sure, Longzhu played much better, but I doubt Fnatic would have gotten perfect gamed if they had at least one lane that was winning and could push out.
Nasus in front of them. This game is the story of Khan farming it up and bringing it home.
Number 2, split up AD and AP damage.
Let me at him.
This is probably one of the most well-known rules. Make sure you have both magic and physical damage. It's also the reason why we freaking hate Yasuo and Zed lanes. When this rule gets broken, it causes so much problem in terms of itemization. If your team is all AP, enemy solos can rush Abyssal Mask or Hex Shrinkers, very efficient MR items that also provide good offensive stats. And if your team is all AD, we've all dealt with the pain that is 5 Ninja Tabbies on enemy teams. Let me give you an example in professional play. For example here, I noticed United locked in Jace early, and they don't really intend on it going top. It just wasn't the meta. I used my superior drafting knowledge and ban out the 2 AP junglers in the meta, forcing United into an all AD comp. Even with our jungler dead in this situation, we can just take the fight 4v5. Since we're decked out in Ninja Tabby and other armor items, it's so hard for E United to kill anyone in the team fight due to how strong armor stacking is versus an all AD team.
You see multiple members of E United blinking red now after that team fight.
Better Loco, once I get the last whisper, all the armor stack does not matter. Unfortunately, it still does. While Last Whisper and Void Staff definitely help in shredding tanks with multiple defensive items, your front line, who has to get both MR and armor, is going to melt much faster comparatively. Also, as we mentioned before, the problem starts much earlier than before you even get to Last Whisper or Void Staff. There is one exception though. When enemy team is running only 1 tank or no tanks at all, it does make it much more lenient for your team to be all AD or all AP, since it's much more harder to stack armor and MR when you don't have as many tanks. It's still not good, but it's kinda okay. Number 3, engage tools.
Trust nothing but your strength.
Professional League of Legends often comes down to big team fights, and it's very important that your team comp has engage tools. It doesn't matter how much stronger you are than the enemy team. If your team comp lacks engage, it can be very hard to force a fight when you want to.
Coming! Ag looking to come in. Here comes your initiation. There is oh my God! Shockwave will find them all!
Engage tools aren't just important when you're winning. In a losing situation, it's still very important to be able to engage. One of the most common ways to come back from a losing situation is to open fights on the enemy team when you have the number or they don't expect it. But when you don't have engage tools, it can often leave your team without a way to come back into the game. So there are exceptions. While not recommended, it's often a rule that the Korean teams break, especially SKT. They love running full priority comps without any engaged champions. While possible to play this kind of comp, your teamwork and individual skill has to be tip top notch, aka not recommended for NA teams. Credits to Jap, by the way, for showcasing this game on the breakdown. Number 4, good split of tanks and carries.
Shadows take all.
I'm sure we've all heard this in a solo queue lobby somewhere before. Yo, pick a tank. We need a tank on our comp. So why do we need a tank? Well, as mentioned before, most forms of engage and CC come from a tank. And more importantly, tanks allow you to check into places without vision or control. It's actually what made Sejuani so broken a few patches ago. Regardless of having vision or not, she could walk in and face tank everything.
Gonna do shit when he's so tanky. What?
So what happens when your team doesn't pick a tank? Well, Longju found out the hard way at 2017 Worlds versus IMT. They picked a no tank comp and Gorilla was forced to face check as a squishy Karma. They won the game anyways due to IMT's throwing, but Jesus Christ, it was so much harder than it needed to be. Also, the reverse is true. If your team doesn't have enough carries and too much tanks, later in the game, your team will have problem melting anyone in team fights. My final rule is strong win condition.
Let's get it! I got the move for you.
Win condition is a term that's been butchered by the community and coaches and analysts. To put it simply, it just means how did your team win the game? Currently, as of now, team comp variety has been really stale, and team comps in professional play went pretty much the same way. You control Baron, you take Baron, and then you push with Baron. So win conditions are more of a thing right now. How do you get to that Baron phase? So what are some examples? Talia plus Olaf is a very strong early game duo. It can establish mid and jungle control and snowball side lanes.
Watch out for Olaf. He's going to finally pull turret after the flash. It was a bit too early. First blood comes through for Echo Fox.
Another really strong duo, Camille and Galio. Split pushing and pulling off Galio Camille wombo combos where they can't escape the Camille ult and you get slammed by the Galio. The win condition rule is a little bit abstract. Just think of it this way. What makes our comp really strong? And the stronger your win condition is, the simpler it is to execute and the easier it is to play to. So these are my 5 rules for a good team comp. These rules have given me great drafts throughout the years of coaching and hopefully can help you win your next Clash games or flame your favorite team on Reddit a little bit more intelligently. I will say these rules aren't black and white and your team comp doesn't immediately suck and you don't need to give up the game because maybe you broke some of the rules. It does make blowing up enemy nexus much easier if you do follow these rules. So next time we'll talk about drafting like I promised. Until then, you guys can watch my stream at twitch.tv/Locodoco. Follow me on Instagram. I'm Locodoco on there. I'm sure you already follow my Twitter, twitter.com/Locodoco. Alright. Now I can. Wait. One last thing. I'm not crazy. I'm just Loco. Oh, hey guys. You guys are still watching the video. So why don't you watch more videos that I did, that I put my love and heart into, that my editors put love and heart into. Check out this one. This one's also cool. Check it out.